Hi, my name is Michael Vanderyacht, and this is my video on the respiratory system of the cat. Here in front of me is the cat. There's the head region up here, the thoracic region right down here in the middle, and this is the lungs on either side, and where the heart would normally be. I've removed it for this system just because it makes it easier to see where the trachea divides and goes into the different sides of the lungs and such. So I'll start up here. These are the main structures of the respiratory system. Top we have the nostrils, and where air would flow into the body, into the nasal cavity. Here is the oral cavity, where air would flow in. The nasal cavity and the oral cavity actually combine and air flows into the pharynx. The pharynx is way up top, above the larynx. So from the pharynx it flows into the larynx, and the larynx to the trachea. Now the trachea is this kind of straw-like structure that you can see real well, this clear structure going down. There's kind of yellow material up here. That's thyroid cartilage. There's actually a couple different kinds of cartilage on the trachea, but most of them have been removed from the dissection, so it's easier to see the trachea. There are rings. You can see the cricoid rings on the trachea as well. So those are kind of a unique aspect of the trachea. As the trachea follows down, it divides into right and left. These are the right and left primary bronchi, and each one goes into the separate sides of the lungs. There are 7 lobes of the lungs, which are these jelly-like structures here. On the right-hand side, you have the right cranial lobe, you have the right middle lobe, and you have the right caudal lobe. Same thing on the left-hand side, left cranial, left middle, and left caudal. Like I said, there are 7, so the 7th one is actually a little guy way down deep in here. That's the right accessory lobe, so he's the little one, kind of in between both sides. So those are the lungs of the cat. They don't really look like it, but these are, this is the diaphragm. It's been cut and reflected, so it's hard to see, but it's the major muscle of the respiratory system. So those are the main structures on at least the visual ones, the ones that are able to be seen. The rest are all inside the lungs. So what I'm going to do is I'll trace an air molecule through the respiratory system just to give you an idea of how airflow moves through the respiratory system, where the gas exchange is in the alveolar sacs. So air flows in through the nostrils or through the oral cavity, and it combines into the pharynx. From there it flows into the larynx to the trachea. The trachea goes all the way down here till it splits. That splits into the right and left primary bronchi. And then on the right side, the primary bronchi divides into 3 lobar bronchi, and on the left side it divides into 2 lobar bronchi. So 3 on the right and 2 on the left. From there, the lobar bronchi, both on either side, splits into tertiary bronchi, and from there into the bronchiopulmonary segments, which you can't see any of this because it's inside the actual lungs, but there are 8 segments of the bronchiopulmonary segments on each side, so 8 on each side of the lung. And then each one of those divides into primary bronchioles, which are essentially smaller bronchi. Same thing, carry air though, and then those split into terminal bronchioles, and from there into respiratory bronchioles, which are associated with alveolar ducts, and then there are about 5 or 6 alveolar sacs per alveolar duct. Alveolar ducts, or the alveolar sacs, are where the actual gas exchange takes place. So oxygen flows in, comes all the way down through the lungs, and once it hits the alveolar sacs, oxygen is taken out of the air and carbon dioxide is put back in, and the air goes all the way back up and out. And the cycle essentially just repeats itself: oxygen in, carbon dioxide out, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. So that's the respiratory system in a nutshell.